I mean, there's not much to say about Dwave. We'll look forward to the earnings report. I mean, I don't think they'll do very well. Their bookings were really low, so and they have a hard time selling their product. I mean, it's really a hard product to sell. Below 20% now. Quantum hurting, Abivax hurting a little bit, volatile performance, but no big worries here. Got Abivax, Sarepta, 𝗦𝗡𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Biohaven. And I have a rack of shorts. A-tier, IonQ, 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Dwave, Dwave, Immune, Capricorn, and Biohaven. Nope, that's long. Biggest short is A-tier. A-tire. No, pretty net neutral. Maybe slightly net short. My Abivax and Sarepta positions are pretty huge. I don't have too much time to work on the bot. I need bigger staff, man. My hands are really full. And there wasn't too much interest from users to partner on it. You could DM me on Godel. We need to fix DMs, they kind of suck. I really don't like the way our DMs work and chats work on Godel. A-tire is a 0. Like, I'm convinced I'm going to show you some cool stuff. I don't time myself, but I think you should spend time on the investments that you make. Pretty obvious. This portfolio is always kind of changing because just different like constraints. I don't spend too much time optimizing it either. So like right now I have way too much Abivax. So if that hits some strength, I'll probably lighten up and short a little bit more quantum probably. And then like Resolute would be a good idea. I'm not sure if we'll do overlap. Oiled, I think it's just a lot of experience. Like trading doesn't make me money, research does. You know, it's kind of as simple as that. Staring at the tape all day, staring at prices all day. You know, yeah, I'll miss a couple trades that I probably could have gotten, but I feel really comfortable and confident in the stuff that I do have, and I like that a lot. Like we saw, unfortunately, one of our users got whipsawed by Sarepta. He bought and he sold, now he's back in. And it's like, when you're so up to speed on a stock, you know, you don't have that kind of problem because you're like, look, I know what I'm getting into. I've spent so many years on Sarepta. I don't have to worry about that. You know, whereas it's really easy to get confused and whipsawed if you're not like really high confidence on something. And I feel like, you know, it's important for me to feel like I don't have to stare at the screen, you know, I'm not that worried. That's a really nice feeling to have. I don't know, Michael, like I said, my portfolio is kind of always all over the place. I don't have any buying power right now, as you can see from my screen. So it's not about more or less. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I happen to think earnings are a catalyst for quantum, negative catalyst, of course. But I also think that, you know, Abivax is going to go up a lot. So I think I got in at 56. I think Abivax is going to go to 700. At least 200. I think 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is one of the most talented CEOs and I know, and he's got a really, really nice product here. So I don't see how it doesn't keep going. But, you know, I am oversized in it. Yeah, don't think that way, meme. You gotta... When the fat pitch comes, it'll you know, the fat pitch will come. No need to force it. You know, forcing it's never good. I kind of try to do that with quantum. You know, after hitting it big with Cassava and hitting it big with Galt, and you know, I lost my judgment. You know, size up the positions that make sense, where you really understand the risk reward. Try to stay sober at all times. Tiny ass earthquake. Maybe I felt it. Might have also just been some indigestion. I think the biggest thing in investing is avoiding the losers. The rest is kind of easy. Avoiding the big mistakes, leverage, overconfidence, lack of diversification. You know, you got to take action when you have an advantage for sure, but you know, if you can easily mess up if you avoid one of those things. But again, one of the things about portfolios is you get exactly what you ask for. If you're all in on one stock, you're going to make either big gains or big losses. It's fine. You asked for it, right? Just don't be surprised if one of those two happens and you didn't expect it. You shouldn't be surprised at all. You're asking for a big gain or a big loss. And you're literally ordering it up. So So there's nobody to blame but yourself if it's not what you wanted. Because, you know, other people are trading the same stuff. I mean, you're not that special. A lot of people are in the same trades. They might make it a 5% position, you make it a 50% position. Well, if it doesn't go perfect, don't blame, you know, the market, don't blame anyone but yourself, because you asked for the smoke, you asked for that massive position. I think you can short on valuation. I mean, I just think you have to understand what you're getting into. You know, what one person thinks is valuation is usually not the case. People say that stock's expensive, but they're oftentimes not really appreciating whatever the bulls are thinking. Feels like ATYR is halted or something. Is that price right? Oh, wow, that's weird. And all the banks are legit. I mean, it's just that, you know, they do have, I mean, it's not a conflict of interest per se, but they want to do business with their banking clients, and that's perfectly fine. You know, that is the way Wall Street works. Now, usually stocks don't move on analyst reports, but never say never. Yeah, I mean, I don't dog any analyst for their work. You know, I mean, that's their job. That's how they make a living. Part of their job is they got to satisfy the firm, including, you know, their banking clients. Now, some places don't care. They treat truly independent research, but, you know, most of the banks are, which is why there's almost no good short research. Well, if you work at JP Morgan, you have a lot of distribution. You get to, your clients, get a lot of clients, you know. Clients will see, you know, no matter what your portfolio was, you know, you can always make more money. Especially with biotech binary events, those kind of, you know, are really, really nice because there's always another crappy drug company somewhere trying to tell you that their drug works when it doesn't. Shoot me a DM, man. I want to get your fund in on Goodell. We have a really crazy new feature coming. Keeping it under wraps for now, but it's really cool. We have a organizations plan. We have 2x the news Bloomberg has per ticker on average. Yeah, Jackie, it is interesting. I mean, sometimes the markets just don't cooperate and fundamentals just don't matter, and then they're the only thing that matters. And that market's hard to trade too. You know, it's never that easy. But yeah, the times when, like, remember 2000 and what was it, 21? Just the post-COVID massive boom, 2020, 2021. Yeah, there's a messenger. It's not fantastic. I think that, you know, we're not necessarily trying to replace Bloomberg either, right? Like, you can still use Bloomberg for messaging, but, you know, getting to use, you know, some of the other tools we're building are going to be useful. As you might be able to see on my screen, you know, there are, you know, things like that coming. Like you can see here, John Overdeck, John Arnold, John Williams, all these big shots. You know, so we're building something a little like that on the Bloomberg, like messaging competitor side. Every now and then we do get, in fact, not every now and then, I'd say 10 or 20% of our viewers are institutional or more, actually. Many people tell me they watch from Wall Street. They don't necessarily always interact because there is compliance. Compliance is one of the most important things on Wall Street, unfortunately, these days. No, it's more of a directory. So, you know, we're hoping to have the best Wall Street directory, you know, the names, numbers, and phone numbers, emails, etc. of everyone on Wall Street are on there. And then if you claim your account, you know, hopefully you can message with that. So that's kind of the idea. That's funny. Yeah, thanks, Kaiser. I definitely agree. I may or may not be in that chat sometimes myself, but I don't love that chat. I've heard from a major player that they can actually de-anonymize that chat pretty easily. So they say it's anon, but yeah, look, we're a new company. We're going to be around forever. You know, it's a long-term play, but we have this quantitative tool coming out pretty soon that's, I think, going to reshape how people, well, let's just wait for it. It's especially for traders. There's not, but analysts can use it too. I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday. This is going to be a really cool tool. I think it's going to change Very few things can change Wall Street, but this one is maybe one of the best ideas I've ever had. But yeah, I've heard a trick as well, Kaiser, that if you, maybe I should keep this trick to myself, but apparently if you have compliance, send them a letter that they need the chat de-anonymized, Bloomberg will send you the chat de-anonymized. You'll see all the guys from Soros and Citadel completely, you know. I mean, Kaiser, we'll give your institution free accounts. Just shoot us, give your whole org free access. We're adding this very high-end alternative data too that nobody has. That's pretty exciting. What else do we do? We've got some stuff that Bloomberg doesn't have. We have some news for sure. But again, you know, everyone has different things. A lot of shops are more investment oriented than trading oriented. You know, so everyone's a little different. Yeah, I think we're going to add higher prices just as a metered service. So like, if you want sell-side research, I don't know if you pay every bank, Kaiser, but we have sell-side research on here, so you don't have to pay every bank. And we kind of pay the banks directly, so you don't have to pay each bank and open an account with each bank. And, you know, it's a lot easier to just sort of, but, you know, sometimes it's a pain to pay every single place. But, you know, for some big firms, they just get treated like kings. The flow side, we're trying to figure out the best ways to improve that. I do think that the way the street works now is probably not ideal. So trying to think if there's like a good way to do that. We're also trying to work on privates. So if you're doing anything in privates, like we have this really amazing private data set, and we're going to maybe try to do like market making for privates or like something crazy like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. We know the private companies really well, like OpenAI and xAI and Anduril and Stripe and others. And so like if we could facilitate trades or just, you know, show indications of interest, true privates. Yeah. My wifey works at OpenAI, and I'm friends with a lot of the entrepreneurs in the world, and PE and VC shops as well. And, you know, right now, like, so we're making some cool things. Again, I can't talk about all of it, but, you know, the S&P 500 to me is no longer a benchmark. I mean, how are you going to look at the S&P 500 when OpenAI and SpaceX are not in it? You know, it doesn't make sense. It's not the true benchmark. Now, people say this around the top, right? Yeah, I mean, we're going to be more expensive than Bloomberg for some users. We have a really neat tool coming that, you know, it could be $200K a year. You know, I think the problem with Bloomberg is having one size fits all makes it really hard for them to innovate. Because imagine if you had a tool that was 25K COGS. So my cost of goods sold is 25K. Bloomberg literally can't make that tool, or it'll be EBITDA negative for their whole business. Right? So there's no possible way to actually, you know, get really nice product on Bloomberg because it would tank their margins. They do sell like separate add-on products, but well, NASDAQ doesn't have those stocks either. NASDAQ doesn't have OpenAI. NASDAQ doesn't have SpaceX or Anthropic, or that's where all the growth is. It ain't in Datadog. But anyway, you know, we're going to grow at a measured pace. You know, there's not, you know, Wall Street infrastructure is pretty established. You know, nobody's showing up and killing everything overnight, despite what 𝗏𝗏 says or other people think. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And, you know, we'll make feature by feature that are really cool. And I think my biggest thing is that people have no way to do reasonably simple quantitative studies. They have no clue how to ask questions like, show me, you know, the top 10 stocks that look like NVIDIA before NVIDIA's stock price took off. And whether it's SQL or natural language, there's no way to really display that, query that information, retrieve it, or display it. If you work at D.E. Shaw, maybe. D.E. Shaw's got a supercomputer, but we're renting supercomputers. So we have only the most expensive systems can even handle that kind of a query, especially if you're asking real time. But we've been able to do it. We used to make a little bit of these types of like supercomputing tools for like drug discovery, for AI. So like this is something we have a handle on. But again, a lot of firms, like you look at a firm like Elliott, 75 billion, one manager, no quantitative, like just, they have their research process. That's that.
They had warrants, like IonQ basically gave them stock to put their stuff in the cloud. Yeah, they're just cashing out the warrants. If you know anything about investing, it takes about a minute to figure this out. They saw the stock go up, they cashed in 2 million warrants, they sold it. Then they cashed in more warrants for nothing and are selling those. If they liked the stock, they would have held the warrants, or at least cashed in and held the stock. Does that make any sense? Amazon just doesn't randomly trade shares in publicly held companies.
Like, yes, let's buy some of that stock. I saw a Jim Cramer interview. Stop running the cloud company. Stop running the world's biggest retailer. Let's buy 1 million shares of this stock. What do you guys think? Yeah? Good idea? Warrants are basically something you give away to investors to placate them. Otherwise, they wouldn't do the deal. So in this case, they had to bribe Amazon to put their cloud computer, quote unquote, on quantum computer on their cloud. Yeah, Amazon Capital Management. So like I said, IonQ said if you put our computer on AWS, we'll give you 2 million free shares. And Amazon was like, okay. And now you have investors out there celebrating IonQ's stupidity from years ago. Thank you for more money. You didn't have to send it to 46, but thank you. Thank you. Whoever bought that at 46, I appreciate it. You guys at 45 too, I appreciate it. Help me come back 2% there. Thank you. Every 2% counts. Look, I mean, of course you should short it, and there's no way I think it can really hurt you too much because the market cap's too much now. What are they going to do? Company's not worth shares outstanding they have. Yeah, it was quick. I wish I acted. Well, I acted pretty fast. I just didn't have much liquidity. So I literally had to get out. Yeah, I had to get out of ATYR and Abivax as fast as I could to shore up some liquidity. So now my biggest short is IonQ. Swapped it for ATYR, and I trimmed a little Abivax too. These are monster positions. That sucks because I paid like 520 ATYR, now it's 505. Man, I did not trim Sarepta because it wasn't usually if I need liquidity, I just go trim my biggest. And it's after market, after hours, so it's really tough. Yeah, it's a bit of a gift. I mean, it's still a gift for a couple bucks.
Let's look at the chart. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You see this? That's like the Empire State Building. I mean, it's still going to drop to 42, but most of the juice got squeezed. I basically took out a big chunk of liquidity just to do this one quick supersize. I was already short a lot of IonQ. How sad is that, man? Like I said, little bag holders. Not new to finance, you're new to finance, You know what you're doing. Stop it. You hurt yourself. A couple bucks here, a couple bucks there, it all adds up. My all-time P&L or something for, my IonQ losses are now down to just 2%, which is great. So this was a really good, really nice. Now I still have the other big three really clobbered my portfolio, but these, so after just 2%, so I would be up, if I didn't ever met IonQ, I'd only be up a couple percent more. So I basically made back most of my IonQ losses in this account. D-Wave, that's a huge amount to make up. I'm not sure I'll ever make profit on D-Wave, but like I said, I mean, Can't be profitable in every stock you trade. That'd be insane. Let me count how many stocks I've traded. Actually, this will be fun. Maybe you guys want to see this. I'll do it on Excel for you. I've traded 47 stocks in this account. The account's been open around 3 months. Let's look if they're wins or losses. So let's see. I'll just do 1 for a win and 0 for a loss. IMS is a win. 𝗓𝗎𝗓 is a big loser for me. Immune, of course, a big winner. 𝗍𝑊ave, massive loss. So out of 48, I think it was 48, 29 right. Let's see, 29 out of 47, so 62%. That's actually roughly what I average in the long run. It's those couple of big losses that always hit me. That's basically what I batted my whole life. But like I said, it all depends on it's not just your win-loss ratio. If you watch me for years, you'll see that's almost always my ratio, low 60s, high 50s. No, I'm actually slightly better outside of biotech than biotech, believe it or not. I trade medtech before, I trade healthcare services. Yeah, so here we could do it. I'm sure right now it's the case, but let's see. So for biotech, 26 of those were biotech. 17 out of 26, which is 65%. Yeah, but there's only a couple biotech binaries a year. Yeah, they don't short, but they basically short when they don't buy, right? Their issue is they have, there's the beta. The beta's gonna always nip at you. Oh man, you're getting a second chance in IonQ. Idiots are like, no, let me give you some more money, man. Please. Oh, really? Word. You want to give me more of your money? Oh, okay. I guess I have enough. Yeah, I'll get it. Of course, I'll get out of Dwave at some point. Amazon, I think, exercised their warrants in IonQ. I don't think they bought any shares. They got the shares for like $1. So now they're going to sell them. Yeah, we need a new engineer to do options, Akko, so bear with us while we fix options. We're going to have a really nice options product with historical vol and all kinds of stuff like that. Ask the company for warrants. They like giving them out. They may give you some warrants. They gave some to this Heights Capital company. They may give you some. Yeah, right. So we have the thing with some Redditors now with ATYR. $1.38 strike warrants. Ooh. The farmer, bro. Do I know something about 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗧? Yeah. I know a lot about 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗧. I know everything about 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗧. I knew about 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗧 10 years before it came out. Remember, CP 69556. Okay, warrants have WARRANTS. You drive me crazy, Peter.